challenge from Brussels, kind of superpower in the European Union, and we have a direct war danger coming from Ukraine, which is the proxy war of the West with Russia. So this is the situation where we are living.
In the heart of Europe, a seismic shift in power is underway, one that may redefine the fabric of the European Union and its influence over the continent. Hungary, under Viktor Orbán, is no longer quietly resisting Brussels. It is charting a course of open confrontation, self-assertion, and strategic realignment. If you care about what happens in Europe next, stay watching and subscribe to EU Politics because you are witnessing an epical moment.
We can't ever send them home. The only solution is outside hotspots.
Orbán's moves over the past few weeks have been bold, clear, and purposeful. On October 27, 2025, it was revealed that Hungary's Prime Minister will meet with Donald Trump in Washington to discuss US sanctions on Russian oil companies and seek exemptions for Hungary, given its heavy reliance on Russian energy pipelines.
Úgyhogy azt javasoljuk az ukránoknak, hogy inkább egy béketárgyalással próbálkozunk, mi abban tudunk segíteni. Embert nem küldünk, fegyvert nem küldünk, pénzt nem adunk, de szívesen segítünk egy béketárgyalás nyílbeütésével.
Across Europe, this announcement sent ripples through capitals, a member state openly asking for sanction carve-outs while negotiating bilateral deals with the US, sidestepping Brussels' usual frameworks. On October 23, 2025, Orbán addressed a massive rally in Budapest on the anniversary of the 1956 uprising.
Brüsszel úgy döntött, háborúba megy. Ha Brüsszel nem akadályozná az amerikai elnök békemisszióját, már vége lenne a háborúnak. Mindenki tudja, ha Donald Trump lett volna az elnök, a háború ki sem tört volna.
Framing the upcoming 2026 parliamentary election as a choice between peace or going to die for Ukraine, and accusing Brussels of wanting to impose a puppet government on Hungary. He said the EU was pushing Ukraine into the bloc at any cost and warned of war, economic destruction, and Hungarian pensions at risk. The message: Hungary first, Brussels later. Earlier, on October 6th, Orbán declared Hungary should not adopt the euro because the EU is disintegrating. His words were highly symbolic. The euro is the anchor of EU integration. To reject it was to reject deeper alignment. It signalled something deeper than monetary policy. It signalled a vision of Europe where sovereignty trumps harmonization. What's playing out here is not isolated. It belongs to a confluence of themes: energy and sanctions, national sovereignty and integration, domestic politics and international alliances. And for the viewers of EU politics, it matters because these moves affect far more than Hungary. They affect the stability of the Union, the predictability of policy, and your own everyday life. Let's unpack the significance. Energy and sanctions. Europe's strategy since Russia's invasion of Ukraine has included sanctions and curbing dependency on Russian energy. Hungary has been a notable holdout. Its crude and gas flows from Russia remain central. By openly seeking an exemption from US sanctions on Russian oil companies, Hungary suggests it will defend supply chains even if they clash with the collective Western stance. The question becomes, if Hungary can be exempted, what about others? What happens when shared policy becomes optional? Operationally, delayed supplies, unpredictability of bills, and exposed infrastructure become risks. Politically, unity is jeopardized. Integration, identity, and institutional strain. The Euro debate might seem arcane, but not now. When Orbán proclaims the EU is disintegrating and Hungarian adoption of the Euro would tie our fate closer to Brussels, he is invoking a vision where membership becomes a trap rather than a benefit. Behind that, economic stagnation, rule of law disputes with billions in funds frozen for Hungary, and a sense among certain member states that the EU demands more than it offers. For Orbán, the message at home is clear. Brussels overreaches. Hungary retains control. For the EU, the message sends chills. If the anchor drifts, what holds the ship? Domestic politics and ripple effects. The 2026 election in Hungary looms large. Orbán has been in power since 2010. Surveys and opposition gains suggest this may be his toughest test. At the rally, he used emotional language, national memory of 1956, and the urgency of external threats to galvanize support. Meanwhile, on October 31st, a pro-Orbán media group acquired Hungary's main tabloid ahead of the election, a strategic move to shape narrative and anchor control over information. These domestic maneuvers tie directly into his EU strategy. Control of the message at home enables bold defiance abroad. And if Hungary succeeds, others may follow. The EU's dilemma. Brussels now faces a stark choice. Will it enforce cohesion using financial penalties, budget blocks, Article 7 mechanisms, or will it tolerate divergence to avoid a breakup? For the Union built on the premise of one market, one policy, one voice, a member openly diverging threatens the entire architecture. If Hungary is permitted to opt out of fundamental alignment and still reap membership benefits, what discourages others from doing the same? The implications: either enforcement and alienation, or loosened policy and weakened union. Your role and real impacts. You may not live in Budapest or Brussels, but you will feel the effects. Energy bills in your country could rise if pipeline certainty falters. Trade patterns could shift. The value of the euro, the stability of member markets, and the rule of law that underpins investments, all could be affected by one country's repositioning. Democracy itself, the principle that policy applies equally across members, faces question when one member plays by different rules. What to watch? In the next months, several events will define the trajectory. First, the Orban-Trump meeting on November the 7th. Will the US grant the exemptions Hungary seeks? Will other US/EU allies respond? Second, the Hungarian election in 2026, a test of whether the nationalist, sovereign-first model holds sway. Third, the EU's response mechanism. Will it crack down on Hungary's divergence or soften? Fourth, will other member states quietly follow Hungary's lead? A domino effect could be underway. Call to action. As you watch this moment unfold, burying your head in headlines won't suffice. These developments are foundational. They determine what Europe becomes. If you value informed analysis, deep context, and fearless insight into these shifts, make sure to subscribe to EU Politics now. Because this story isn't over, and you'll want to follow every twist. In closing, Hungary is no longer just a satellite in the European orbit. It is at the vanguard of a potential redefinition of the Union. The European Union is no longer a monolith of consensus, it is being tested. The question is not only what Hungary wants or what Orban seeks, but what Europe tolerates and adapts. When one member state charts a separate path and retains membership, the rulebook may change forever. Thank you for watching. Share this video, leave your thoughts below. Is Hungary's course a threat to the EU or a necessary recalibration? Let's keep the conversation going on EU politics, because Europe's future will be determined not silently, but openly and between all of us.